In this video, we're going to be talking about Java's enumerated types. You can find information about the enumerated types in the Java Basics part of my online notes. And you'll have to scroll down a bit, but you'll find a short section on enumerated types that summarizes enumerated types. I also have a link to Java's tutorial on enumerated types, and I encourage you just to scan over it. It covers much of the same material that I'm going to cover in this online lecture. So the important difference between Java's enumerated types and C++'s enumerated types is that C++'s enumerated types are constants that are converted to integers. In Java, the enumerated constants are actually instances of a class. So here's an example. I have an enumerated type called day, and you can see that the keyword enum is used to introduce day. Then in curly braces I have my enumerated constants, and I declared it public. When I compile this file, notice that I've called it day.java. You can see it down here. It's actually going to create a class called day, and then it's going to create an instance of day for each of my 7 constants: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. So each of my constants is actually an instance object, and that's very different than C++. So before I can actually use the enumerated constants, I actually am going to have to compile that file. And if you look, you would see now that there is a class called day. So now I'm ready to use day in an actual program, and I'm going to do a few things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to declare a variable called this day and assign it the constant Monday. Looks pretty reasonable. This would work in C++. Going to try to compile it, and you see I get an error message. It says that the variable Monday cannot be found. The reason it can't be found is because it is an instance object within the class day, and so I have to prefix it with the name of the class to which it belongs. So now if I save this file and I compile, you see that all is well. Here's another neat thing. Let's try to actually print out the value of this day. So I'm going to actually print it out, and I should do it as a string. Notice I'm using %n to make sure that I'm platform independent. That'll print a new line. And I'm going to print this day. Okay? You might take a guess as to what it might be. If we go back to day.java, you see Monday is the second one. So in C++, Monday would probably print out as the value 1. So let's try to compile it and run enum test. You see it actually printed out as Monday. So in fact, when you try to print an enumerated value, it actually prints out as the constant value that you provided in the declaration for the enumerated type. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is show you how you can actually iterate through all the enumerated constants in an enumerated type. And the way we do that is using a values method which returns an array of the constants or the instance objects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the for loop that's able to iterate through an array, and I'm going to ask for an array of days enumerated types. You see I have to prefix the values method with the name of its class, which is day. And now I'm simply going to print out each of I'm just going to print their values. And when I compile it and run it, I get an error message because I need it to say system.out.printf. Now I compile it and run it, and you see that it prints all the constants that I have. The last thing I'm going to do is show you how you can use enumerated types as part of code. In particular, I'm going to use a switch statement. So again, instead of just printing them out, I'm going to print out whether they're either a weekend day or a weekday. So I'm going to switch on my day, and if it's either Saturday or Sunday, then I'm going to print out that it is a weekend day. And notice again I'm using %n so that I'm platform independent. Notice, remember, you need the break statement or else it will fall through. Now for the default, it is to print it's a weekday. Okay, so this looks probably pretty good. Let's try to compile it. And I get an unexpected set of error messages. It says an enumerated switch case label must be the unqualified name of an enumeration constant. What does that mean? It means that it actually does not want Saturday and Sunday to be prefixed with day. And this may seem counterintuitive because previously I demonstrated how just assigning Monday to the day variable caused an error. Now prefixing the constant with day causes an error. Well, when you're in a switch statement, it already knows the type that you're dealing with because you said switch on my day. So apparently the Java developers decided to be inconsistent and not require you, in fact force you not to prefix their constants with the name of the class. So again, let's try to compile this and now run it. And you see Sunday's a weekend, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, weekdays, Saturday, it's a weekend. Okay, that finishes the discussion of the basic kind of enumerated type in Java. It's also possible to create fancier enumerated types, and it's actually very helpful. You can associate values with enumerated types. So here I have an example with fonts. And I wanted to define three constants, small, medium, and large. And I want to associate point sizes with them. And I don't want the user to be able to specify the point sizes. I want to be able to change them if I so desire. So what I have done is I have set up a constructor for each instance of font. And you can see that the constructor takes a font size and assigns that font size to a member variable called point size, which up here I've declared as final int point size. Remember, final declares it to be a constant. I won't be modifying it during the program, so it should be a constant. And when I create each of my three enumerated constants, I specify what the font size will be. Finally, I provide a public method called getPointSize that allows me to get at that point size. So we are ready to test it now. So let's use a file called testfont.java. And what we're going to do is we're going to input a font that at the command line that we want to use, and the program is going to print out the size of the font. So for example, if I enter medium, it prints out 12. If I enter large, it prints out 24. So it prints out the size of the font. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking one command line argument and I'm going to start by defining the font variable that I will be assigning to. And I'm going to check and remember, so I'm going to compare to see whether the argument is small. If it is, I'm going to set f to be font.small. And notice I'm being careful to use equals rather than doing the relational operator equal equal, because that would simply do pointer comparison. Now I am going to check to see if it's equal to medium. If it is, I'll set font to be medium. Finally, I will assume by default that if anything else should be large. So I have my font. Now I'm going to print out the name of the font and the point size. So the name of the font I just get by printing the font variable f, and I get the point size by doing calling get font size. Okay. So now I can compile this and I can run it. Do it with small, and you see it works just fine. So one final thing, it actually is okay to embed an enumerated type inside of a class. So basically it's a nested class, as long as that's the only place where it's going to be used. So obviously I'd have to indent here, but just want to show you that if I compile it, it's okay because I embedded the enumerated type inside of class. However, if I plan to use the enumerated type in multiple classes, then I need to declare that enumerated type as a separate class. That concludes this videotape on enumerated types.